So let's start to look how we can use the math.ceil and math.floor in a button in JavaScript. So we can round a value up or round a value down. So the first thing what we need to do is make sure you have just a basic template. As you can see here, nothing fancy, just this with a dark background, and we have the console or the developer tab open. So let's start to first put in a button. So I'm going to say here button, and in this button we're going to say here this is the ID, and this ID in this button will be let's say ceil for ceiling. We're going to round it upwards, so we say round up. Then we make another one where we do the same, but then we say floor for rounding it downwards, so round down. Once we have this, we're going to save that, refresh. You can see here we just have these buttons. Let's put in an input, and that input here, we're going to say here the type will be a number, and we want to round this up or down based on the button. So we're going to say here type will be number, and then we're going to say here a step, because we'll be needing it in this case. We'll make sure that we can put in decimals, because then it will affect or apply these buttons. So in here we can say ID, and we can say the ID will be the price. So what I want to do is whatever the price is in here, we want to round it up or round it down once we click on it. And let's give it a default value. We say here value, say here 9.99. If we do this, refresh, you can see here we have a default value in here. And if I go up or down, you see it will only go with 1 cent up or downwards because of the step that we have set up. And of course, if you use your arrow keys, it's the same story. Alright, so now we have this here. Let's start to put in now our JavaScript. What I want to do here, I'm just going to do very basics. I'm going to say here, first of all, I want to grab the ID of this button. So what I'm going to say here, I'm going to give it a constant variable, and let's give this the name ceil for ceiling. And then what we're going to do is the following. I'm going to say a document dot get the element with the ID by ID. And basically what we're looking for here then is we're saying here we're going to grab this ID name. So if you're wondering what does this mean, this here is document, which just says basically go into the HTML document, that is this entire item, and get an element with the ID name of ceiling. So this is the ceiling ID name, and the element is basically a tag. In this case, it is a button tag. It could be any tag. So that's why we just distinguish it with the ID name, because the ID name is unique. Alright, so now once we have this, what I need to do now is make sure that when we click on it, do something. So what I want to do now is I'm going to say here ceiling, which is a shorthand basically for this code. And then we're going to create an add event listener, which allows us to create an on-click event. So we say here, add event listener. So basically you're saying here, listen, if we're doing something on this button, it could be click, it could be hover, it could be anything, then be triggered. So to what is it triggered? It's triggered on click. So when we click, it will be triggered. And then what we want to do here, we want to record that event. So once we did this, now we have all of this here. This event here tells us if we click on it, we'll record that. So what I want to do now is, let's do something very simple. We do a console log and just say this ceil as a shorthand constant variable, save that. So if we click on it, it will give us the console log of basically this here, which is this item. So let's save, refresh, click here and round up, which is the ceil button, and you can see here we get the ID name. It just gives us the button that we click on. So the same we can do for floor now, because it's the same logic. So I'm going to grab this, put it in there, say floor, copy that, put it in there, and then we just copy all of this. Then we say here floor will be this, and then do that, although it doesn't really matter, but well, let's cross check this. Now we are on floor, and here we are on ceil. Alright, so now what I would want to do here is when I have the number here, round it up or round it down. To do this, the first thing I need to do in JavaScript is inform them what is this name here and extract this specific value. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to say a constant, and let's give this the name of price because we have the ID name of price. So we just keep it very consistent. I'm just going to grab all of this, same logic, but then the ID name is price. So now what I would like to do is just show here, when I click on this, we get the price information. So if I click on this, you can see here we get the input with the price and the value. So what I want to do now is, all of these are interesting, but I just need the value. I just want to know when I click on it, what is the current value in this input. So what I'm going to do here, you can say a dot value, because this is basically the ID. The price is the ID, which is the entire element. But now I want to have not the entire element, I want a specific part within that element. And in this case, it is value. So dot value, dot ID, dot step, dot type will give you all different items. So let's show you. I'm going to grab this, and let's say here price dot ID. Then we should get the ID name. So refresh, click here. You can see here we get the ID name, and if I put in here type, we just get whatever it would be indicated here. Refresh, there we are. We know this is the type for the input is number. Alright, so now we have this. Let's remove this. Now I'm going to grab that value, and the next thing what I would like to do here now is start to if we click here on ceiling, we should round it up. So what I'm going to do here, we're going to say math dot and capital M for math, because this is a command specifically for the math related items in JavaScript. And then we say your dot ceil, and then we just put it all in here. So once we have this, save, refresh. Alright, so now if I click round up, it will go and show here 10, but it will not go in here. So, and the same would do if we would do this, but now for rounding down, we will use the command floor. Let's try that. If I do floor, it should be 9, and there you are. We see the number 9. Alright, so now what I would like to do is go and adjust the value that we have here in whatever that would be. To do that, we have here the price value. So what I'm going to say here, this price value, which is 9.99, will now be equal to whatever we set this. So we set down that specific value, and now if I click here, refresh this, click round up, we see the value 10, and the value 10 here is shown as well. Let's refresh and do again, round up, and now the number 10 is showing. Same logic for the floor command. So we're going to now put the price down, round it down, there we are, 9. However, because this is a currency, I would like to convert this into double digits. So we should have basically 9.00. So how do we do that? Let's add up here one more thing. So once we have this math.floor, what I would like to add up here, after this, we say dot, and then we're going to say to fixed. So what this does is it will force a specific amount of zeros or decimals. In this case, we want to have 2 decimals being shown all the time. So if I save this, refresh, now round it up, 10.00. Refresh this, round it down, 9.00. And if I would adjust this with my arrow key or press on this button, and then we say round down, now you can see here it becomes 8 flat. There we are. And that's basically how we can connect a function with a button and then do a round up or round down in JavaScript.